We've all heard that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, yet the average American eats breakfast just 3 times a week. Cereal is an easy option, but there are so many choices. Here are 8 cereals you should absolutely never eat. Unlike plain Cheerios, Honey Nut Cheerios contain a notable amount of sugar, enhanced with honey and brown sugar syrup. Just 1 cup of the cereal has more sugar than 3 of Chips Ahoy cookies. Honey Nut Cheerios have 10 more grams of sugar than plain Cheerios, which makes these a treat version of the original. The New York Times reports that Honey Nut Cheerios is also the variety that some parents might buy for their kids, while they buy the plain version for themselves, figuring that at least there are added vitamins and minerals in the sugary honey version. Despite being the most popular breakfast cereal in the US, an environmental working group analysis found that a serving of the cereal contains 20 grams of sugar. The report states that eating excess sugar can increase your likelihood of obesity, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and heart disease, and that breakfast cereals are the 5th highest source of added sugar in the diets of children under 8. That falls behind only ice cream, candy, and cookies. While Kellogg's Special K is marketed as a healthy breakfast cereal, its refined grains and lack of fiber makes it a not-so-great choice. The total added sugar is 4 grams, and the amount of protein is 7 grams, which doesn't sound terrible. But according to the Naked label, the health claim of this cereal is mostly marketing. Without fiber, those refined carbs could spike your blood sugar levels. Even though 4 grams of sugar might not seem like a lot, there are 29 total grams of carbohydrates in Special K, and most people probably eat more than a suggested serving. Special K is low in fat, which might be where all that health-related marketing comes from. But all those excess sugars in the form of empty calories can turn into fat. If you're looking for a truly healthy cereal, it's better to choose one with lots of whole grains and a low added sugar content. But if Special K is your favorite, maybe try adding it in moderation to lower sugar options, or at least know that it's a treat and maybe not a healthy start to the day. It's easy to see why organic products appeal to parents who want to give their kids the cereals they're begging for, but want to make sure they're not negatively affecting their health.
Many parents may believe their children prefer a certain cereal because of its taste. After all, some have added sugars.
And the claim on the Nature's Path website is that their cereals are made with only natural ingredients that parents can feel good about. But despite being organic and non-GMO, their Panda Puff cereal is packed with whole grain cornmeal, cane sugar, peanut butter, soy oil, and sea salt. It seems like this cereal is made with just sweetened corn and soy oil. Nutritiously dense? Maybe not. The rest of the EnviroKidz line also seems to offer lower sugar and lower preservative variations on some of the popular breakfast cereals below, but it's also equally questionable. The Leap and Lemurs have chocolate flavor, and molasses, with 8 grams of sugar for a 3/4 cup serving, and the Koala Crisp swaps brown rice flour for the corn. A better choice would be Nature's Path's Mesa Sunrise, which adds flax seeds, buckwheat flour, quinoa, and amaranth to the corn base, with just 4 grams of sugar per 3/4 cup serving, though the low protein and fiber counts leave something to be desired. It's probably no surprise that Reese's Puffs are not the epitome of healthiness. You should probably only grab a box of Reese's Puffs off the shelf of the grocery store when you're planning to eat them as a high-sugar snack or dessert. They are not what a nutritionist would call a healthy breakfast. We've all had mornings when all we're craving is a bowl full of chocolatey, peanut buttery sugar that crunches, but you can't pretend that's good for you, whatever your body is telling you and whatever you drank the night before. The General Mills website paints the nutrition as a pretty picture by mentioning that they contain added vitamins and 11 grams of whole grains, while containing no artificial colors, preservatives, or high-fructose corn syrup. However, there's still corn syrup and Hershey's chocolate in the mix, and the web experience leaves you feeling as though the nutritional label is masquerading as healthy, making the product seem even less so.
Whoa, you have candy for breakfast? She said.
Not candy, Reese's Puff cereal.
What? Raisin Bran's not healthy? The cereal does have a healthy reputation, but Raisin Bran actually has more sugar per serving than Froot Loops, with a whopping 17 grams. There's slightly less added sugar than the popular kid cereal, but that's for a smaller serving of Raisin Bran. Some of that sugar comes from raisins, but there's also regular white sugar, brown sugar syrup, and malt flavor in the cereal itself, most likely to mask that not-so-naturally delicious bran. With 5 grams of protein and 0 grams of saturated fat, Raisin Bran isn't all bad, but it's not a particularly healthy breakfast option either. The best way to eat Raisin Bran if you truly love it might be to combine a small portion with one of the low-sugar breakfast cereals mentioned later in this list. Or just add a handful of unsweetened raisins to any of the alternatives, and that should do the trick. If you think those colors are all natural, think again. In addition to the fact that these multicolored rings all actually taste the same, they're packed with red 40, yellow 5, blue 1, and yellow 6, which aren't there to be healthy or even delicious. The name is actually Froot Loops with a double O because there's no actual fruit in them, and they've been sued several times because of this fact. Other ingredients in Froot Loops include BT, a controversial preservative that's been added, quote, for freshness, and the hydrogenated oils, also known as trans fats, and 12 grams of added sugar per serving. According to Spoon University, Froot Loops are 44% sugar by weight. Kinda seems like they should be grouped with the candy bars in your local grocery store. So why are Froot Loops so popular? They're iconic, colorful, and are pretty delicious. And as with Reese's Puffs, there's added vitamins along with some great marketing to make up for what's lacking in the rest of the product. But still, probably not the most nutritious option for a morning routine. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is absolutely delicious, but like actual French toast that you douse in cinnamon sugar, this is more of a treat than a nutritionally dense breakfast food that could get you through your morning without a sugar crash. Sugar is the source of 28% of the calories in each serving, and there are just 2 grams of protein and 2 grams of fiber per serving, meaning that the sugar is going to shoot right through you with nothing to slow it down. Simple sugars like those in Cinnamon Toast Crunch rank high on the glycemic index, and according to the National Institutes of Health, you shouldn't eat too much of them in a single sitting since they can push your blood sugar up too high. All of this sugar makes Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal seem more like a candy than a food. Despite the added vitamins and minerals, which, like the other poorly ranking cereals on this list, seem to be there as a solution to the lack of nutrition included, this is not a breakfast option you should be eating regularly, especially considering that there are so many other quality, healthy, and tasty breakfast cereal options to choose from.
It's really sweet, really sweet, and
you might not necessarily have something like that for breakfast every morning.
yeah.
You know the crazy sweet milk that's left over after your corn pops have sat in your bowl for a while? You know how you look forward to that milk after crunching through those sugary corn balls? Yeah, that should be called dessert. That milk is like something Christina Tosi of Momofuku Milk Bar would create and everyone would appropriately eat as a nostalgic, childlike treat, not as a healthy breakfast. Along with the other high-sugar cereals on this list, corn pops are the kind of treat your parents probably shouldn't have bought you, but that you were probably always begging them to put in the grocery cart. If you think the reason kids love them so much is probably evidence that corn pops are nowhere near healthy, you would be right. The cereal clocks in with 0 grams of fiber and 15 grams of added sugar, which includes both sugar and corn syrup, and only 2 grams of protein. In other words, corn pops could spike your blood sugar while also possibly leaving you more hungry later. So if those cereals are the ones to avoid, which ones should you be putting in your bowl? Here are a few to try. These oat-free, gluten-free clusters are at the top of their class for crunchy bites. They're also definitely not as bone dry as some of the other health options on this list, because let's be honest, healthy eating can be tough. It gets a respectable B on Fujicate despite having less fiber than other healthy cereal options. So for a granola, it's really not bad. You get tons of crunch from the blend of nuts, corn, brown rice, beans, millet, teff, and seeds. And the sweeteners are cane sugar combined with maple and caramelized pear juice. There's only 7 grams of sugar in a 1/3 of a cup serving of the cranberry almond maple flavor, which tastes plenty sweet and juicy. It also makes a perfect topping for a quick dessert yogurt parfait in case you prefer to save your sweetened crunchy foods for snacks and treats. Kellogg's All-Bran buds are definitely not as delicious as any of the beloved sugary cereals on this list, but they probably weren't meant to be because they do a heck of a job keeping you, quote, regular, thanks to wheat bran being the first ingredient, according to Kellogg's. There are 11 grams of fiber in 1 serving of All-Bran buds, which is just under half of your daily needs if you're a woman. Keep in mind that a serving is 1/3 of a cup, so if you eat an entire cup, you will most likely meet your fiber needs for the day. But eating a whole cup also means you'd be eating the daily recommended sugar limit for women, which is 24 grams. This pushes All-Bran buds way above more nostalgic options like Froot Loops and Reese's Puffs when it comes to sugar content. Another downside of these buds is that there's not much protein per serving, 3 grams to be exact, to keep you feeling full. So our suggestion is to combine a serving of this with a low-sugar cereal or lots of berries, nuts, and seeds for texture, flavor, and joy. Because who would eat bran for fun? This Kashi 7 whole grain puff cereal gets a decent score on the Environmental Working Group's website. It's not organic certified, but it has a decent amount of protein and fiber. It's also made with non-GMO hard red wheat, brown rice, oats, barley, rye, buckwheat, and sesame seeds, and is completely unsweetened, unlike a lot of other Kashi products, including the company's Go Lean Honey Almond Flax Crunch cereal with its 12 grams of sugar per a 3/4 cup serving. So it may mean that the 7 whole grain puff cereal is kind of bland on its own, but it seems good for you, so you can eat a whole 1.5 cup serving, which is much larger than most other commercial cereals, without the worry that you'll go overboard on sugar. But if flavor is what you're after, you may want to add some fruit, yogurt, or a bit of another cereal if you want some sugar. Just remember that while the cereal is crunchy on its own, it could soften up and turns mushy in milk. So eat quickly unless you like your cereal soft. And if you want a sweet treat, the 7 whole grain puff cereal is also great for baking into whole grain Rice Krispie treats. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about breakfast foods are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.